Before this game, outgoing Connacht coach Eric Elwood urged his side to improve on last season's 8th place finish in the Pro 12, and with 4 games to go, that achievement was in sight. The Irish province would need to beat Edinburgh to keep that upward momentum going. The Scots went into the game after 2 wins in a row under new interim coaching team Stevie Scott and Duncan Hodge. The early stages of the match saw an exchange of penalties. Dan Parks put the visitors ahead before 4 Greg Laidlaw kicks put Edinburgh into a 12-3 lead. Then just before half-time, Connacht finally got a foothold in the game. Gavin Duffy made a break down the left and found flanker Mick Carney, who had a clear run at the line to get over for the first try of the match. It was the big man's first try of the season, and an important moment as Connacht got right back into it. Parks kicked the conversion, and that left it Edinburgh 12, Connacht 10. The visitors were back in the game, but they were reduced to 14 men for 10 minutes when Parks was sent to the sin bin for a deliberate knock-on when Edinburgh were in a threatening position. The referee in no doubt, and Parks was on his way to the line. Laidlaw knocked over the resultant penalty for 15-10. But Connacht kept it tight with Gavin Duffy kicking a penalty in Park's absence to leave just 2 points between the sides at half-time. Into the second period, 2 more Park's penalties saw Connacht restore their lead 19-15, but the game was swinging one way and then the other. As the Gunners attacked, Ronan Loughney became the second Connacht player to see yellow on the night, this time for not rolling away. Referee Rhys Thomas making a mark in his first Pro 12 game in charge. Laidlaw put the resultant penalty kick over to leave just a point between them. And Edinburgh were back in front 21-19 as Laidlaw saw the flags raised following another successful penalty on the hour mark. It really was nip and tuck, one of those games that could go either way. And at the other end, a Parks drop goal put Connacht back in front 22-21. A really sweet strike from the Scotsman back on home turf. Another penalty from Laidlaw, who was notching his and Edinburgh's 24th point of the night. Could they hold on to this lead? Well, the answer was no, as before the end, Connacht swept downfield. Substitute Tom Brown failed to deal with the kick through. And as Connacht piled forward, the Edinburgh defence creaked. Eventually, fullback Robbie Henshaw scored the match-winning try from close range. The 19-year-old's first score in 15 appearances this season, and a hugely important intervention. Parks scored with the conversion for 29-24. And as the game drew to a close, Parks put another penalty over to give Connacht a 32-24 victory and deny Edinburgh a losing bonus point. The men from the west of Ireland move up to 8th in the table with 7th position still in their sights. Edinburgh remain 10th and suffer defeat for the first time under Scott and Hodge. Final score at Murrayfield: Edinburgh 24, Connacht 32. Ulster started the night second in the table behind Glasgow, and off the back of a win in Dublin over Leinster, Mark Anscombe's side looked to have put their Pro 12 campaign firmly back on the rails. The home side boosted by the return of Tommy Bowe, making his first start since December. Dragons have had a difficult campaign and came into this game off 3 successive defeats. The exchanges were very tight early on, with neither team posing too many serious threats, but that would all change in the second quarter, and it was almost inevitable that it would be the returning Bowe who would make the breakthrough. Paul Marshall with the pass to Bowe, and clinical finishing from the Irish international for the first score of the match. Ruan Pienaar, playing at out half for the rested Paddy Jackson, kicked a marvellous conversion to make it 7-0 for Ulster. Dragons were still in the game at this point, but they didn't help themselves when out half Dan Evans was sent to the bin by referee Leighton Hodges for dissent. Evans disagreeing with the ref's interpretation of the rules. The out half, an important cog in the Dragons' machine, And straight away, Pienaar put the penalty over to make it 10 points to 0. The floodgates were in danger of opening, and in the 35th minute, Stuart Olding in the side for Luke Marshall showed a clean pair of heels to a flat-footed Dragons defence. Olding's third try of the campaign, and Ulster now had a commanding 17-0 lead after Pienaar converted. It was to get better for the home side before the half-time break. Irish international centre Darren Cave getting in on the try-scoring action. The man from the same town as Rory McIlroy, Hollywood and County Down, playing a starring role. That was try number 3, and the bonus point was in sight. Pienaar converted, and it was 24 points to 0 at half-time. With Glasgow struggling at Scarlets, Ulster knew that they had a great chance to go back to the top of the table with 2 games to go before the playoffs. And 5 minutes into the second half, they clinched the bonus point when Paul Marshall, who was playing scrum half with Pienaar switched to out half, made a wonderful sniping run right by the touchline to cross over for try number 4. The bonus point victory in the bag, because when Pienaar converted, it was 31-0, and there'd be no coming back from that for Dragons. However, there was still time for Dragons to produce one of the tries, not only of the weekend, but of the entire season. From deep inside their own 22, the visitors went for the all-or-nothing option. Some of the Ulster tackling may have been tired, but that's to take nothing away from Dragons. This was simply exquisite movement from the men in black. Jonathan Evans found fullback Tom Bridie, who dived over for a spectacular score. Stephen Jones missed the conversion, but that was almost an irrelevance after such a wonderful team try. At last, some fire from the Dragons, but crucially Ulster still had plenty of scores to spare and led 31-5. The home side continued to look for more, but that's how it finished. And with Glasgow slipping up in Wales, Ulster were back to the top of the table with this win. They face Connacht in Galway next. Dragons' poor run continues, but at least they scored a truly memorable try in this game. Final score at Ravenhill, Ulster 31, Dragons 5. Glasgow went into this game on top of the table, knowing that a win would ensure a place in the playoffs and go a long way towards giving them a home semi-final. Scarlets also had lots to play for, starting the night 5th in the standings, but just outside the top 4 on scoring difference. They went into the game in confident mood, having won 6 of their previous 7 games in all competitions. Scarlets had won their last 4 home matches and opened the game very positively. As early as the 4th minute, Owen Williams put the Welsh side ahead after Glasgow, and John Barclay in particular was penalised as Jonathan Davies made a break. Williams' kick was good, and the Welsh side led by 3 points to 0. Just before the quarter-hour mark, having dominated possession and territory, Simon Easterby's side extended their lead when Williams made it 6-0 with a well-struck kick. And in the 18th minute, as they pummeled the Warriors' line, a try looked inevitable. The Scots defending as Scarlets went through the phases, but eventually the dam burst, and it was Ken Owens who barged over the line from close range. The vastly experienced hooker, who extended his contract with Scarlets by 2 years last month, showing his value to the club once again. Williams couldn't miss with the conversion, and it was 13-0. Glasgow's last win at Parky Scarlets was 3 years ago, and they were finding it hard to make any sort of an impact on this game. It was midway through the first half before they put their first scores on the board. A really good penalty from Rory Jackson to reduce the deficit to 10 points, 13 points to 3. Within a couple of minutes, the home side had re-established themselves on proceedings. The impressive Owen Williams restoring Scarlett's 13-point lead, kicking a good drop goal when under pressure from the Warriors' rearguard. The last score of the first half came to Glasgow. Scarlet's prop, Samson Lee, perhaps fortunate not to see yellow when he caught the onrushing Van der Merwe off the ball. A penalty was awarded, and Jackson slotted it over to leave it Scarlet 16, Glasgow 6, and that's how it stayed till half-time. After the break, it was the home side who continued to dominate. Liam Williams switched from the wing to full-back for Gareth Owen, who was unavailable due to illness, and Williams helped himself to a try in the 46th minute. An offload from George North and a great burst of pace from the Welsh international saw him leave the Warriors for dead and score his side's second try of the match. Scarlets captain Rob McCusker said before the game that this was his team's biggest game of the season, and they were certainly rising to the occasion. When Owen Williams converted, it was 23 points to 6. When Glasgow did get a chance to reduce the margin by 3, substitute Duncan Weir's shooting boots were absent and the post saved Scarlets. At the other end, another Williams penalty left it 26-6, and he was on target once again to make it 29-6 on the hour mark. This would be the last score of the game. Right at the death, substitute Gareth Davies, on for his namesake Aled, almost scored a lovely try, only to be denied by some last-ditch Warriors defending. A great break by Davies, and if he had got the touchdown, a super score. But the referee sent this one up to the TMO, who ruled that Davies hadn't got the ball down, denied by Peter Horne's last-gasp tackle.
Is this a try, yes or no?
It didn't matter really. Scarlets had got the win they so badly needed. Glasgow coach Gregor Townsend will be disappointed though. They lose top spot, and in such a facile manner as well. He'll be looking for a big improvement against Ospreys next time out. For Scarlets, it's back into the top 4 for the time being, and Cardiff Blues next weekend. Final score, Scarlets 29, Glasgow Warriors 6.